Students, welcome to the next video of Hornbill Lesson 6, the Browning version by Terence Rattigan. Before launching into the lesson, let's have its introduction. The lesson, the Browning version, is an extract from a play, the Browning version, written by Terence Rattigan and translated by Robert Browning. The scene of the play is set in a school. Mr. Frank is a young teacher and Crocker Harris a middle-aged teacher. Taplow is a boy of 16 who has come in the school to do extra work for Crocker Harris. But Mr. Harris is not arrived yet. But Mr. Harris is not arrived yet, and Mr. Frank finds Taplow waiting for him. Taplow is expecting his results the next day. Mr. Harris has not arrived because it is his last day at the school, and he is very busy. As Mr. Frank comes and finds Taplow waiting for Mr. Harris, and both fall into conversation. The conversation between Taplow and Frank gives the reader an insight into the characters of teachers as well as students. Taplow reveals what type of teachers Crocker Harris is. Frank also reveals himself. He is very different from Crocker Harris. He encourages Taplow to mimic Crocker Harris. This small excerpt of the play shows the mutual jealousy between teachers. See the lines and have a reading of it. As paragraph 4, I must admit I to being liked. Let's see its reading. I must admit I envy him. The effect he seems to have on you boys in the farm. You all seem scared to death of him. What does he do? Beat you all? Or something? Taplow. Good Lord, no. He is not a sadist like one or two of the others. Frank. I beg your pardon. Taplow. A sadist, sir, is someone who gets pleasure out of giving pain. Frank. Indeed, but I think you went on to say that some other masters. Taplow. Well, of course, they are, sir. I won't mention names, but you know them as well as I do. Of course, I know most masters think we boys don't understand a thing. But, sir, you are different. You are young. Well, comparatively, anyway, and you are science. You must know what sadism is. Frank. After a pause, good Lord, what are our schools coming to? Taplow. Anyway, the crook isn't a sadist. That's what I am saying. He wouldn't be so frightening if he were, because at least it would show he had some feelings. But he hasn't. He has all shriveled up inside like a nut, and he seems to hate people to like him. It's funny that I don't know any other master who doesn't like being liked. Students, before explanation of this paragraph, let us see some words to be noticed of this paragraph. As envy. Envy means grudge or jealousy. Grudge as unfriendly feelings towards somebody because you are angry about what has happened in the past. For example, to bear a grudge against somebody. means to bear a kind of jealousy against somebody. That is called envy. Envy, the feeling that you have when somebody else has something that you want. As it was difficult for her to hide her envy of her friend's success. It was difficult for her to hide her envy of her friend's success. Second, be the envy of somebody. To be the thing that causes somebody to feel envy. For example, the city's transport system is the envy of many of its neighbors. Sadist, very good word, has been used by Tableau. Sadist means a person who gets pleasure, especially sexual pleasure, from hurting other people. Sadism, getting pleasure, especially sexual pleasure from hurting other people. The same thing. Submissive means ready to obey other people and do whatever they want. Let I explain the paragraph. Tapro says to Mr. Frank that Mr. Harris is something different kind of person. God knows what would happen if he leaves the school without his consent. Mr. Frank accepts that he feels a kind of jealousy against Mr. Crocker Harris for the effect which he has exerted on you boys. Frank wants to know the technique applied by Mr. Harris to form an honorable discipline among the students, which is so effective. He says to Tableau that all of them, that is, boys, are so scared, are very scared to death of him. That is, all of you seem so frightened to him. He asks Tableau, what does he do? If he beats you, all he asks Tableau, what does he do to implement so kind of best discipline on you? Does he beat you all or does something unbearable, wild treatment, etc.? Tableau exclaims, good Lord, no, he doesn't beat us. He is not a man of sadist temperament like one or two teachers of the school. Mr. Frank gets an extreme surprise and asks Tableau to repeat his last word, sadist. Tableau explains that a sadist is a person who takes pleasure in giving pain to others. In other words, a sadist person enjoys the pain of others who are weak, submissive, and subordinate to them. Frank, the other teacher, accepts the meaning of sadist explained by Tableau. But he shows surprise and asks Tableau whether there are really some teachers, one or two, who are sadists, as being a sadist for a teacher is not appropriate for his profession. And so he asked Tableau, some other masters? Tableau answers him, of course, there are some masters who are sadists. Tableau, for the sake of his safety and certainty, don't want to mention their names. Tableau, for the sake of his safety and certainty, don't, or you can say he doesn't want to mention them names, but ensures Frank that he as well as Mr. Frank both know them very well. According to Tableau, of course, most masters think that the boys don't understand a thing, but it is not true. In the cases of masters like him, that is you, Mr. Frank. Thus he flatters Mr. Frank, keeping him in different category. Taplow uses the psychology, and thus he keeps Mr. Frank in different category, as Mr. Frank is young in comparison of others and he is a science teacher. So Taplow expects from Frank to know what the sadism is. After a little pause, Frank exclaims, "Good Lord, what dilapidation our schools are going to see." Dilapidations, that is, what a great fall has occurred in the nature of the teachers and where the society is going to be led by them. Taplow says that Mr. Croker Harris is not a sadist. He never beats children. Mr. Harris wouldn't be so frightening if he were. Sadist, that is, Mr. Harris wouldn't be so frightening if he were sadist, that is, students beating teacher. He can't be sadist because his never beating attitudes shows that he has some feelings. He hasn't feelings of cruelty. He looks rough and hairy like a nut, but soft from inside. But contrary to his nature, it seems he hates people who like him. It makes him a man of strange land, and so funny. He can't be pleased by being appreciated like other teachers. According to Taplow, there is not any other master who is not pleased by praise except Mr. Croker Harris. Students, let us proceed on the next paragraph of this lesson, Browning version, paragraph 5. And have its reading first. It starts from, and I don't know any boy who doesn't use to can share your pleasure. Let's have its reading. And I don't know any boy who doesn't use that for his own purpose. Taplow, well, it's natural, sir, but not with the croak. Frank, Mr. Croker Harris. Taplow, Mr. Croker Harris. The funny thing is that in spite of everything, I do rather like him. I can't help it. And sometimes I think he sees it, and that seems to shrivel him up even more. Frank, I am sure you are exaggerating. Taplow, no sir, I am not. In form, the other day he made one of his classical jokes. Of course, nobody laughed because nobody understood it, myself included. Still, I knew he would meant it as funny, so I laughed, out of ordinary common politeness and feeling a bit sorry for him for having made a poor joke. No, I can't remember what the joke was, but suppose I make it. Now you laugh, sir. Frank laughs. Taplow, in a gentle, throaty voice. Taplow imitates. Taplow, you laughed at my little joke. I noticed. I must confess that I am pleased at the advance your Latin has made, since you so readily have understood what the rest of the form did not. Perhaps now you would be good enough to explain it to them so that they too can share your pleasure. Now, before proceeding the explanation of this paragraph, let's see some words noticed to be worthy to be noticed. As purpose means the aim or or intention of something. That is called purpose. As the main purpose of this meeting is to decide what we should do next. Let I revise it. The main purpose of this meeting is to decide what we should do next. This is purpose. A meaning or a reason that is important to you. As a good leader inspires people with a sense of purpose. Shrivel. Shrivel means to become smaller, especially because of dry conditions. The plants shriveled up and died in the hot season. Here, unhappy, not looking happy and green. Exaggeration is exaggerating is made of the root word exaggerate, and its ing form is exaggerating, means speaking high, using hyperbole. Speaking high about anybody, that is using hyperbole. Classical, related to the ancient time or related to the ancient literature of Europe like Greek and Latin, in India, Tamil and Sanskrit. That is called classical language. And here classical means related to very old time. Form means here the form is class where the students are kept to be fit mentally or physically. Noticed, minded, remarked, paid attention to it. Readily means at once, in no time. Understood readily means you understood the meaning of the words at no time or in no time. Pleasure, that is happiness. Let us see the explanation of this paragraph. As Taplow, the waiting boy, says Mr. Frank that he hasn't known a person who doesn't like to be admired. According to his experience of worldly life, everybody likes to be appreciated. But in case of Mr. Croker Harris, he is something different. At this comment of Taplow, Mr. Frank condemns his statement, saying that every student flatters the teachers for the sake of his own for the sake of his own benefit. Taplow confesses his guilt and says that it is natural among the nature of the student. It is natural and it is among the nature of the student to please the teachers and have some remarks in favor of them. But the technique of pleasing through flattery doesn't work on Mr. Croker Harris. Taplow says Harris as the crook. Frank interrupts and says Mr. Croker Harris. Taplow says that in spite of his hating temperament towards his fans, appreciators, he likes him certainly. He can't help himself without liking him. He also says that sometimes he, that is Mr. Croker Harris, sees his love towards him and it, that is to love him, makes him to hate Taplow even more. Mr. Frank says, Taplow, you are using hyperbole in admiring him. Taplow answers him in negative, but respectfully, and further says that he is not. To prove his statement, he gives an example of an event in the class. As it goes like this. One day, Mr. Harris made one of his classical jokes to the class. Taplow explains the event to Mr. Frank, saying like this: as one day Mr. Harris made one of his old classical jokes to the class. Certainly, the joke being classical, nobody laughed at it because nobody understood it, even including Taplow. Yet, Taplow guessed his notion, and its objective to be funny for the class. He loved to please him. Taplow did this work out of ordinary common politeness and had a feeling of sorry for him for having made a poor joke. Now Taplow accepts that he can't remember that what that classical joke was, what was its meaning, but he showed himself that he showed before him that he understood the joke. On Taplow acceptance, Mr. Frank laughs that the boy is very cunning. Taplow imitates a gentle, throaty voice and says how the Mr. Croker Harris had told him. He makes a mimicry of his gentle, throaty voice to Frank. He says that on that day he said, Taplow, you laughed at my little joke. I minded it. I must confess that I am pleased at the advance of your Latin. I am pleased at the advance your Latin has made, since you so readily have understood what the rest of the class did not. Perhaps now you would be good enough to explain it to them so that they too can share your pleasure. Thus, Mr. Croker Harris was able to find the truth about the Taplow's understanding and thus troubled Taplow before the class, not minding his likeness towards him. Students, let us proceed on the next paragraph, paragraph 6 of this lesson and last of it. Let us see its reading. As the door upright is pushed open and Millie Croker Harris enters. She is a thin woman in her late 30s, rather more smartly dressed than the general run of schoolmasters' wives. She is wearing a cape and carries a shopping basket. She closes the door and then stands by the screen watching Taplow and Frank. It is a few seconds before they notice her. Frank, come along, Taplow moves slowly above the desk. Do not be so selfish and as to keep a good joke to yourself. Tell the others. He breaks off, suddenly noticing Millie. Oh Lord! Frank turns quickly and seems infinitely relieved at seeing Millie. Frank, oh, hello. Millie, without expression, hello. She comes down to the sideboard and puts her basket on it. Taplow, moving up to left of Frank, whispering frantically. Do you think she heard? Frank shakes his head comfortingly. Millie takes off her cape and hangs it on the hall stand. I think she did. She was standing there quite a time. Taplow. If she did, and she tells him, there goes my remove. Frank, nonsense. He crosses to the fireplace. Millie takes the basket from the sideboard, moves above the table, and puts the basket on it. Millie, to Taplow, waiting for my husband? Taplow, moving down left of the table, yes. Millie, he is at the bursars and might be there quite a time. If I were you, I would go. Taplow, doubtfully. He said, most particularly, I was to come. Millie, well, why don't you run away for a quarter of an hour and come back? She unpacks something from the basket. Taplow, supposing he gets here before me? Millie, smiling, I will take the blame. She takes a prescription out of the basket. I tell you what, you can do a job for him. Take this prescription to the chemist and get it made up. Taplow, all right. Mr. Croker Harris, he crosses towards the door upright. Let us see some words related to this paragraph. Cape, CAPE. Don't understand it cap, which you put on your head. No. Cape, that is a piece of highland that sticks out into the sea, is cap. Geographically way, in geographical way, the concept cape is a piece of highland that sticks out into the sea. For example, the Cape of Good Hope in South Africa. Huh? The Cape of Good Hope. Here, the highland enters into sea. And second is a piece of clothing with no sleeves that hangs from your shoulders. Often the ladies put on a piece of clothing, upper garment, and it has no sleeves. That is cap. General run of, that is general fashion of. Stands by the screen. Here, image drops. Lady Millie Croker Harris, image drops or image dropping. That is, to listen secretly to other people talk is image dropping. As this is the common temperament of the ladies, when somebody are talking, they stand side the wall and give their ear to listen the things. This is called eavesdropping. As they caught her eavesdropping on their conversation. Frantic means extremely worried or frightened. The woman went frantic when she couldn't find her purse. Again, the woman went frantic when she couldn't find her purse. Second meaning, very busy or done in a hurry. A frantic search for the keys. We are not busy at work now, but things get frantic at Christmas. Sideboard. What is sideboard? Means a type of low cupboard about as high as a table that is used for storing plates, etc. is called sideboard. It is often kept in the kitchen, okay, to keep the cup, plates, etc. in it. Are also kept in a room that is used for eating or in dining room. Blame means responsible for bad or responsible for something is blame. Okay, let us students proceed on the paragraph of this. Proceed on the explanation of this paragraph. As the door is pushed open and Millie Croker Harris, the wife of Mr. Croker Harris, enters on the stage. She looks slim even in her late 30s age. Means she is now 30 years old, yet she looks slim and smart, you can say. Thus, she looks more smartly dressed than the general mode of schoolmaster's wife. She looks wearing a cap and carrying a shopping basket. She closes the door and then, standing by the screen, watches Taplow and Mr. Frank. Now, a few seconds have passed before They, that is, Taplow and Mr. Frank, notice her. Frank advises Taplow to come along and orders him not to be so selfish as to keep a good joke to himself. Keep a good joke to himself. He advises him to tell the others also. Mr. Frank stops talking suddenly, noticing Millie Crocker Harris. He exclaims with surprise. He turns quickly and shows himself infinitely relieved as seeing Millie. Frank says, "Oh, hello!" in exclamation. Millie, without showing any expression to them, replies, "Hello." She comes down to the sideboard and puts her basket on it. Taplow gets afraid and frantically moves towards Frank, asking him in whisper whether she has heard talking them. Frank shakes his hand comfortably in affirmative and says, "Perhaps she might mean," while Millie takes off her cape and hangs it on the hall stand. Meanwhile, when he whispers to Frank whether she has heard, between that time Millie takes off her cape and hangs it on the hall stand. Frank expresses his view to Taplow that she might have heard because she was standing there for a long moment. Taplow guesses about the reaction of Mr. Crocker Harris. What would happen if she tells her husband about their talking? He guesses that it will exert bad effect on his result. He may be marked failed by him. Mr. Frank commends it as senseless, and he crosses to the fireplace. Millie, the wife of Mr. Crocker Harris, takes the basket from the sideboard, moves above the table, and puts the basket on it. Millie asks Taplow whether he is waiting for her husband. Taplow moves down the table and answers him in hesitating voice. Yes, Millie tells Taplow that that is, her husband, has gone to the bursars, maybe there for quite a long time. She further tells him that if she were in his place, then she might have gone instead of waiting for him. Taplow gets in doubt and tells her that that is Mr. Crocker Harris, told him to be present here in the most special way, and so he came. Millie suggests, that is, asks Taplow why he doesn't run away for a quarter of an hour and come back again. And saying this, she unpacks some things from the basket. Taplow asks Millie, suppose if Mr. Harris arrives there before he comes back, then? Millie smiles and says to him that she herself will take the blame on her. Saying this, she takes a prescription out of the basket and suggests Taplow what he can do a job for him. She orders Taplow to take the prescribed paper of medicine to the chemist shop and bring the medicine for him. Taplow accepts the order willingly from Mrs. Crocker Harris and crosses towards the door. Thus, the play ends.